Welcome to Power Hour, where the editors of Power Sports Business interview the movers and shakers of the industry. This episode is brought to you by Synchrony. Hi, everybody. It's Brendan Baker from Power Sports Business. We've got another Power Hour here with the guys at Rollick. We've got Chris Yeloushan and Pete Eppele. I think I said that right again. And I'll let you let you guys take it away as far as what your background is, what your role is there with Rollick. And we're going to go over we're going to cover a lot of AI, because they're stepping into the AI territory and they've got some neat things coming up. So, and I think every dealer needs to understand what AI can do for them. And we're going to go over that here real soon. But yeah, Chris, why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Brendan. Chris Yeloushan, Rollick. Most of you probably know me in the industry. Been around 20 plus years. Born and raised in a power sports, outdoor recreation type dealership back in Tampa, Florida. Really focused at Rollick to help our dealer partners and OEM partners find, win, and keep their customers. Right? There's so much technology changing. How do we keep the customers engaged with the dealers engaged with the customers, and offer really unique solutions to bridge that gap now, Brendan, between what consumers are expecting from our last podcast on our buying study.
Cool. And I'm excited. That was a great one.
Yeah, I'm excited to have Pete on the phone. He's our chief product officer. He's been spending the last year deep, really in depth on our AI, our lead nurture and stuff that it's pretty technical. It's really cool to see how we can help our dealer partners.
So his unofficial title is Chief Nerd?
Or is That's right. That's it. Exactly.
That's how they refer to me. And you nailed my name, Brendan, too, Pete Eppele. It was a great pronunciation. Yeah.
Okay. First time I've ever nailed anybody's name right, So yeah, Pete, and you've got some great things to show us here about AI. Why don't you kick it off here and let us, show us what you have?
Yeah, for sure. And
I know you do have something with Polaris, right? Do you want to lead off with that? Or is that you want to go into?
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll go through the slides. People it'll lead up to what you're building anyway. So it'll work out good with that Polaris product experience.
Yeah, and the thing I'll say too quickly before we get in the AI conversation is that unlike Chris, I don't have 20 years in this industry, but I do have 20 years, actually getting closer to 30, working in AI, working with applications like price optimization, revenue intelligence. So, I mean, the AI space is pretty broad. I think, recently everybody's been kind of hit with generative AI and Chat GPT, but there's obviously a whole lot to it. And so it's a long time area of passion. And I think, hopefully entitles me to that chief nerd name. So,
well, and you're right about that. People think that, AI is like brand new. No, it's been around. It's been being kicked and developed in different forms for quite a while, right?
Totally. Yeah. It's, a lot of times when you think about it, it's the numerical stuff. It's like make a prediction of like forecast what my sales are going to be or something like that. And that's, in the realm of AI, or maybe tell me what price I should charge in the market. But with, what's going on with large language models and generative AI, there's just a whole new set of things that opens up. It's really that we're really excited about at Rollick.
Yeah, no, it sounds so. These big generative AI things, are they mostly like language AI? Is that what language based and not numerical based, or how's that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because the underlying technology that they use is a neural net technology, and this is where we're really going to start to get a little geeky, right? But that technology
geek out, man.
was built to essentially simulate how the human brain works. So like you have neurons in your brain. The neural network is essentially trying to be a set of neurons that simulates how the human brain works and can, fire off because as you have signals in your brain, as we're talking, as we're taking in visual, it's just firing a whole bunch of neurons. What these language models have done and what they've harnessed is the ability to create models that have hundreds of billions of those neurons in them. So computationally, they're trying to create essentially a big brain So you've got this big brain, and then the question is, well, how do I actually make the brain smart with anything? And so that's where you hear about these like incredible training sets of data where they'll pipe the internet through, and they'll, just tremendous amount of content, just billions and even up to trillions of bytes of data that go through. And what that does is the model starts to figure out what words go with each other, which concepts go with each other regularly as you observe them over all of this data and this information. And the people that have done this, I mean, honestly, it's just brilliant. It's completely genius.
Yeah.
But have then created these models that essentially can have a conversation, and you swear that you're talking to a human on the other side of it. I think we've all probably experienced at least something with Chat GPT where you sit there and go, how in the world does this thing even work this way?
Right. Yeah, I know. It's like, how is some human able to program all this to actually, but yeah, that's it, it's mind-boggling in a lot of ways. So, but and so now you guys have tapped into this generative AI for Rollick and for power sports dealers and other types of dealers. Can you show me a few things about what your system does or what your
Yeah,
plan and the
absolutely.
AI does?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll give maybe just a little bit of context about market and then talk about AI. Just, we've already touched on some of it, but just to put it in perspective, and then we'll talk about how we're harnessing that power of AI into our application and product set. I'll whip through these pretty quickly, but as you guys know, I mean, we're deep in all the different recreational industries, power sports, plus marine and RV, do a lot of studies. This was a study that we had done, and we've talked about with you for this future of buying study that had over 27,000 participants, just trying to understand like what are the trends, how is buying changing as we move forward, as we have with sort of online post-COVID world, what's going on. And what we see from this is clearly people just love to do more of their shopping online if they can. From this talks about from the first engagement that you have until actual purchase, how long was that time spent? Like the first engagement online. For power sports, from the chart, you see like more than half of people are at least a month out from their purchase. So when people start to engage and look, they're researching, they're understanding, they're seeing what's out there and available there. And it's even more so in RV and in marine industries, but in power sports, very much the case. I might be 1 month, I might be 6 months out starting to kick tires.
So kind of what you're saying is, I think that power sports may have a shorter timeline than some of the others that are maybe a little bigger purchase, but most of that sales funnel, it starts really with that researching online. People kind of seeing something, maybe they see an ad or whatever, they get curious, they want to go look at it online and then start, investigating, researching on their own. And then before they even maybe get to a dealership level.
Yeah. 100% is that they want to be able to do those activities, and they're a couple other things just to back that up. They're looking at maybe if you're in the power sports market, I'm looking at a UTV, maybe I'm out on the Polaris site, maybe I'm out on the Can-Am site, I'm looking at the brand site to understand more about the products, looking at the dealer sites, and also just social media in general. So people are typically hitting many different places during that shopping time frame and learning a whole lot about the product and engaging quite a bit before they maybe ever walk into a dealership.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have, yeah, like, and you show all these different areas where people can kind of get their knowledge from or their research started and
Yeah.
start filling up that.
And they're hitting all these different places, Brendan. You can see, I mean, they're doing definitely in social media. They're on YouTube, doing YouTube videos. They're going back and forth the dealer website, the brand website, influencers are even looking at now. So we want to leverage all those touch points for the dealerships to be aware this is where these customers are coming from and how they're getting to you.
It's interesting to see how strong the brand corporate website is to begin with, and the others and then the dealer website's not far behind.
Yeah, we're
Absolutely.
seeing the traffic we're seeing go back and forth, and Pete will share that in upcoming slides, how people are bouncing back and forth between the brand website and the dealer website. You're seeing multiple sessions, different times each day.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
great.
that brand site has so much trust, right? I mean, people go there as the authority to learn about the product. The dealer you go to, just, maybe you feel like you're going to be sold, but
Mhm.
in that case, for instance. So it's why I think people enjoy the ability to bounce back and forth. And like this is a really interesting slide too, in terms of what they're trying to do. Research the product, see what inventory is out there. As an example, people just want to know, like, not necessarily have to drive to the dealership to see what that inventory is. Just let me know what's available around me all the time. And then all, personalizing pricing. But then what's interesting too is beyond the product, they're thinking about things like the actual purchase process, like financing, like trade in as well. And what this chart gives you a sense of is where most of this stuff used to happen. That if you go back 10 years, a lot of this was happening at the dealership nearly exclusively. Now you're starting to see that tipping point where more than half of this is happening online for customers.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's like it starts out that online and then slowly as you get through the funnel a little bit more, it leans more towards the dealer.
Totally. And I think what this does, I mean, the way that we think about this is it sets the stage because customers want to engage, like you have really smart people in your dealership that can engage the customer at any time, have deep expertise. So what we think about in terms of AI is when people are in that digital mode, when they're not in front of one of your people at the dealership, for instance, how do you give them a similar personalized, really knowledgeable experience? And that's where AI can help.
Yeah. Yeah, because, at that point they're still decide it looks to me too like a lot of people are still really deciding, kicking the tires online and deciding, looking at what they could afford, what kind of product they want, how they can personalize it. And then once they start getting into the finance options and applying for credit, that's when they're contacting or being more in the dealer, kind of basket at that point.
For sure. And so when we summarize this stuff out, it's basically, for everybody, for the manufacturers, for the dealers, for the consumers, everybody's just looking for a better, more streamlined experience. So the OEMs, what they struggle with a lot of times is like, hey, I want to just help consumers since, like we saw before, they're coming to my site. Let me give them the best experience. Maybe show them the inventory that's around me, give them the ability to, to do more of those buying motions online. Dealers, the same thing. And then consumers, when you think about them going to dealer websites, it could be a very fragmented experience. I go to click for my trade in. I have to enter all my personal information, try to get a trade in. Okay, now I want to look at financing. Oh, geez, I have to enter all my information again. Right. It's very clunky, disconnected
Yeah.
experience. And so, there's great opportunity with consolidation and intelligence to just make that a great experience for consumers.
Do you think like there's a way that and you see it already with some of these sites that you can autofill quite a few sections so you're not having to type in every, oh, my name, last name, this, that, birth date, blah, blah, blah. It kind of is auto-filling. Is it how does AI go like beyond that kind of stuff to help out, to smooth that transaction and a lot of the form filling and things like that?
Yeah, I think, AI and just sort of consolidation. I think this is where, Rollick brings something kind of unique to the table because part of this is just having the ability to do all of those things all in one. And that's been our focus is to be able to support everything that the shopper wants to be able to do all in an all-in-one tool. Enter your information once and then once you do that, we're capturing and collecting all the information together. So now we have the full picture. We know that you have a trade and what kind of trade it is. We know you're looking for financing. We know what kind of vehicles you're looking at. And so then AI at that point gets smarter because now I'm not understanding just a piece of you as a consumer. I'm seeing more of your whole shopping experience, the sites you've gone to and everything else. And then that's where the power
Yeah.
comes from being able to use AI to personalize against that.
And so for like a consumer, how, I could see like maybe having AI as a shopping help, oh, that's not a good deal. This is a good, or this is a better financing deal or that, is it? going to make it harder for dealers that are, I mean, I guess they're going to have to kind of get on the bandwagon to be able to offer a lot of different financing options for one. And, is it, I don't know how, if I'm struck, does it commoditize things more, or how would you depict like how this setup is going to work for like a consumer and for the dealer?
Yeah. What a great question, right? I mean, I think like the lesson of Amazon is like if you make stuff really convenient for somebody, you are going to win. You know what I mean? So like I think
Yeah.
what where the real power comes is like whatever you're going to buy, you're going to go to Amazon first, right? Just because they've sort of got the reputation, they've built that out. And so I think that what you want to do is
It's also
maybe
easy. Yeah.
Right.
it's easy, right?
Simplicity.
They've made that one click
100%.
buy thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
100%. It knows stuff about me. It's suggesting stuff, right? So, what I think we try to do with, as we work with dealers and try to work on behalf of consumers is create an experience where, like, if the consumer invests a little bit in the dealer, let me tell you something about, then the dealer is able to really kind of help them through the purchase process as easily as possible. I think that's a little bit, like you see that in the online e-commerce world, that's a lot of the battle. And I think that's where these dealers are coming in. It's a very hybrid world for them now, where it's like they've got to be really good on e-commerce and selling that way as well as the in-store experience.
I know when we talked earlier, you had some other slides that kind of showed a little bit of kind of how the cake was baked, some of
That's right. Yeah. I'll
the
zip through a
recipe.
couple.
Yeah.
That's right. A little bit of the recipe, right? Because the thing that I'll say too is like in trying to create a great experience, we look at it, we have solutions out there in the marketplace that, like Engage solution, that's really something that lives on a dealer site, helps you engage customer with all those shopping activities we talked about before. Nurture solution, because we're all busy, so people kind of I look online but maybe I kind of get life takes over. Nurture allows you to reach out to those customers and continue to engage them in the purchase cycle and stay top of mind for them. And then an inventory solution that we have is something that sits actually on manufacturers and brand sites that we were talking about before to show the dealer's inventory. So first and foremost, and I think like in working with AI for the period of time, like the lessons we always learned are you're going to win with AI and when you do a couple things. Number one is when you have the most possible data that you can. Like that's a huge winner. And then secondly is when you just incorporate it into existing natural processes in almost a seamless way. And so that's where, we think about AI not as its own product or as it's necessarily its own entity, but it's just making better everything that we do. It's making better online engagement through the Engage tool. It's making nurture better by embedding it in the nurture process, and then also got the inventory process as people are engaging the brand sites.
Okay,
So
so
that gives
here's a
you,
dumb
yeah.
question. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, you go.
Good,
You
good,
go
good,
ahead.
good, Brandon. You got it.
So does this AI sit in the background of a dealer website or the manufacturer website or both? Or how is that? How is
Yeah,
Rollick fit in with the dealer? I mean, is it embedded in there like an extension?
yeah. So I mean, Rollick is essentially kind of works as an extension of those sites. Like we'll embed directly in the website experience. We'll also embed with like their CRM systems that has all the contact information for people so that we can nurture. So you could think of us as kind of a brain, so to speak, and a set of capabilities that sits outside of those so that, and we work with many different providers. So if you've got, regardless of who your website provider is, as example, is it Lead Venture? Is it DX1? Regardless of who your CRM system is, it Lightspeed? Is it, we have the ability to integrate with all those systems because we want to be able to create just that very seamless experience, for you as a dealer.
So I mean, as you're basically, it's like a brain, it's like a person kind of helping you out, but it's just, the AI bot doing all
Oh,
that. you know.
100%. Yeah, I'll jump down to a little bit. Like there's some slides that we have here that just talk about really the intent of those slides is just to give you a sense of like, man, the adoption of this stuff is huge and fast, and the investment is massive. And but at the end of the day, I think sometimes, and what we chatted about last time is sometimes people have a hard time. It's like I hear about AI almost too much, I
Yeah.
know that it's exciting. I know it's interesting, but like, what the hell does it actually mean to me? Like, I can go to Chat GPT, but like, how does it actually connect to my business as a dealer? And how does this become a thing for me? To your point, I think that's a little bit of where your question is getting at. And so, you know, AI, we were mentioned before, it's like, it's these multi-billion node sort of like simulated brains and all that. It's a huge brain, but really it's kind of dumb about your business. Like it's dumb about your customers. It doesn't know which websites your customers have, gone on to, or how much time has been spent, or what products have been looked at. It doesn't know if that customer has a trade in or not. So that's really where we look to bring together. It's like, be able to interface with those big, very powerful models, but bring in all the customer specific knowledge and all the industry knowledge, like specs and knowledge bases about products. Bring that together so that we can deliver that information out to customers when they have questions. Also be able to do things like take, customer reviews of products. What do people think, right? Being able to bring that kind of data, what trade-in values are, what insurance deals are out there, what special offers, incentives. When you have all of that information, and then you can deliver it to somebody who's on your website, or you could deliver it to somebody in an email, that's where kind of, that's where the value can come in. So that's where we work. We're not generating our own language models. We're simply taking this information that we have and putting it into the model so that we can then interface better, or have a better experience with every interaction that you have with a customer.
So it's really personalized. I mean, it's like really kind of meeting your that initial handshake. Hey, how are you doing? And then what's your name? And where are you from? You get a little bit of the background. Hey, here, and then what do you want to see? I can show you what your trade-in would be worth. I could show you whatever you want to, your question might be.
Yeah,
So,
that's, yeah, 100% right.
I
So like
mean,
when you
it's, yeah.
just to flash forward a little bit into what we're doing, because like in our Engage tool, we're giving all these capabilities to basically be able to, show people what offers are out there, they're traded. They can do all that stuff today, but they have to kind of click through it. They navigate through it themselves. Like I mentioned before, we're integrated with a bunch of platforms and all that. And as Chris had mentioned, we've got, some very unique ways to get this in front of consumers on the dealer's site. Like we work with USA Perks, and maybe Chris, you talk a little bit about how this works.
Yeah, everybody's familiar with USAA. I mean, everybody knows the Gronkowski commercials, Gronk's commercials about trying to be a member, right? It's an exclusive membership group, only 13 million members across the country, probably the most loyal buyers that exist out there in this country. So Rollick is partnering with USA Perks to offer an OEM incentive. So for Polaris, for example, we're doing a $500 incentive for the Sportsmen, the Rangers, the side-by-sides, the ATVs, and bring that up front in the buying process. So before they make that purchase, let's identify them as a USA member, get them to register, report, and then at that point, report their purchase, and then a $500 gift card is sent right to that customer on behalf of the dealer. It's all done by Rollick in the back end. No work for the dealer to do, just between the member and the customer.
That's pretty awesome. And it's a good incentive if you know right up front, like, hey, I'm going to get a $500, gift card or whatever, check from this dealer, and that makes it more of an incentive than going all the way through the process and going, you've got more, you know, I guess more skin in the game to want to finish out and buy that product.
Well, what's unique, Brandon, is like, everybody trusts USA. It's a brand they trust. But if we can facilitate it, at the dealership level, a MasterCard gift card is sent out, and they can use that on parts, on a service, on accessories, right? We can use that help them close the deal faster, right? And then use that $500 gift card, right, for other profit centers at the dealership.
Yeah. So you guys have been doing stuff with USAA for quite a while then, right? And you're just signing up more and more OEMs as you go along.
Correct. That's right. So we have several
And
OEMs across the power sports industry that we're doing these brands, these kind of deals with these companies like USA and Sam's Club and AAA.
okay. So yeah, you've got Sam's Club in there. Any other kind of so those things would also show up if, hey, are you a Sam's Club member?
That's right.
AAA. Okay.
On our Engage tool that Pete shared, you can see up here we have special offers module, and it
Oh
lets
yeah.
them know if it's a unit that applies for the players incentive. There's the USA Perks comes up. If you're a Sam's member, AAA, if you're a Progressive policyholder, 1 in 3 power sports products are insured with Progressive. And we also help all the employers. So if you're a Home Depot, if you're a Lowe's employee, FedEx employee, we identify those right on your brand website, pass on special offers, and then highlight any special offers the dealership might have. If they want to do any part service accessories deals when you make a purchase, it's another way to highlight these offers as your dealership on your website.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Because especially it's like, oh, do I got to go search around? It used to
Mhm.
be like, oh, I got to find a code somewhere, and see if that works. And you punch in all, oh no, that one didn't work. Let me go back and, you know.
You don't
So
have to do that here. They just put their first name, last name, email address, and we validate them. If it's a military member, we ask for, maybe a discharge date or just date of birth, and then at that point we pass on a special offer. It's all done in this Engage tool.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty slick. And is this starting now? Is it already
It's live, yeah.
it's
This
already
is
live? Okay.
100% live. Love to get all the Polaris dealers across the country. We actually have a Pete shared on the left. There's what we call a USA sticky. So on the home page of the websites, right here to the left, Pete's pointing to it. We can install that on your website. It opens up a window, and they can right there see their offers, unlock, register, and then before they go into the dealership, they can be ready to go and buy that Polaris unit and get that offer even before they
Is
go in.
is there a cost to do that, or is it for just USAA, or do you have to be a Rollick
Yeah, you have to be a Rollick dealer in order to get the sticky. You
dealer?
have to be a
Okay,
Rollick, dealer on a subscription. So that's correct.
gotcha. Okay, yeah, no,
And
that's
then
cool.
and the chief nerd, then looks at this and says, wow, what a great way to collect data about somebody in terms of like they're starting to signal now to us that they're a USA member. Also, too, based on what they're looking at, like the brands that they're browsing, I'm able to pick up information for them about interest and what they, what is relevant to them. So now I can, with AI, I can do things like start to understand what inventory could be most relevant for them, all that good stuff. And this is like in the background, this is a view, we call this lens, but it like this is where we start to collect whether you interact with the USA sticky, if you're looking at it, like we said, a trade-in before, maybe you want to schedule an appointment, you clicked on a nurture email. We're capturing and collecting all of that information about each prospect, each buyer, as they're engaging, through digitally through the process. And that's where, like we mentioned before, it's like, okay, well, now what do we do this? We first of all, we said you got to have really good data for AI. This gives us great data about the consumer, and then it's got to be integrated into a process seamlessly. So where we start to bring this together is, first of all, it's how do we surface this to the dealer just to help the dealer understand how that customer is engaging. And this is a lead summary that we have that leverages AI to help you kind of distill like all that information we saw on the previous page. Like if you basically said, to AI, hey, in 200 words or less, just tell me the most important stuff that I need to know about this prospect that just came to my site, right? That's what you get. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was trying to click on there. That's
Oh
what you
yeah,
get right
Yeah.
here, which is the summary. They
it's
submitted a
just a real
lead.
quick, like a little card that kind of gives you the okay, he's it's been on CRM, he's got good credit, and he's a USAA member, all this kind of stuff, right?
That's right. All that kind of stuff is just right there and available to you. So you don't have to go fishing around for it or anything else. And you can hit the ground running when you have the conversation next. If this person is now ready to start to come into the dealership and talk to you, or if you want to reach out to them, much more relevant conversation. And then all the detail, around here as well in terms of being able to understand that.
Okay.
the
So if
all-in-one
you hit
nature.
view lead, it'll go then to more detail of the what their trade in is, estimated payment,
All that kind of
prequal, what
stuff.
they, yeah,
That's right. Give
gotcha.
you the ability to reach out and contact, give them the phone number and the contact information, all that kind of thing too. Yep. And it's the power, like we were saying before, of doing all of those activities through one tool versus like all these separate tools, and you captured this person's information 3 different times, all in one, summarized, much better for the dealer, much better for the consumer.
Yeah,
Now,
Barry,
and
that,
I
that
see you've got like Prospect has been pre-approved by 700 credit. Now, there's other ones too. Do you guys,
yeah,
does it matter who's pre-approved them, or will that integrate?
yeah.
What if, okay,
We have the finance tab on there, so we have integration with 700 credit, right? So if they want to do the pre-qual piece, they can get pre-qualled, and then if it's like a 700 credit, we can pass on the FICO score to the dealer right to their CRM when the customer clicks submit, right? So we're always about these integrations, right? Connect is here with our Connect Text to Pay and our Connect Texting. We have JD Power for trading. All this in this Engage tool all includes all those integrations. So again, it brings everybody together all in one to help that AI tool generate that's this summary. The first call is the most important. A dealer makes the first call to a customer, they have to ask all these fact-finding questions. What if you knew they already had a 780 credit score? You already knew that they have a trade-in. You already knew they want to be texted. All the stuff up front of that first call is so much easier with that first text.
right, right. Yeah, I'd be curious to see like what kind of is text to phone call to say email, what are outs, but now if it's a phone call, so I get it. If it's a text, it could still be AI, but if it's a phone call, the dealer is probably gonna, unless you've got some really, nice voice, like Siri on there calling you up and that might be next. I don't know.
That technology's coming. I think it's a little bit of a leap of faith for people, right, to actually put AI directly in touch with the customer through voice like that interactively. But
Yeah.
that's coming, right? I mean, it's definitely on the way. Uh, yeah.
I just
And
watched a movie the other day that it kind of freaked me out. It was all these, like, it was like a sci-fi where I think they had the bots. You're interacting with their robots or whatever. They called them Sparks, but they were there to help people do stuff. And I mean, it's so futuristic, but you think like, when I was a kid, I thought we'd already be there. I thought we'd already have all these robots, but we're just getting AI. It's just a different type of thing we're getting. We're getting, you know, AI robots, I guess, behind the scenes computer robots.
yeah. I mean, to your point, right? I mean, that's a great setup for this one because when you think about the bots, I mean, one of the really common bots that's well supported by AI is a chat bot and the ability to
Okay.
interactively, work together. And so that's something that for us that we're actively developing right now, getting ready to bring to market. The point here being like like I mentioned before, we don't want it to be a separate thing for the customer. It's like we're going to bring this together with everything else we just talked about. Chris talked about all these great integrations we have with like pre-qual and financing capabilities of trade-in. So why not just bring the chat right there? In this case, like I'm looking at a unit, Can-Am Maverick, starting to ask questions like what's the top speed? So if I want to do basic just research about the unit and understand what's going on, I could do that interactively in chat. And I just might, what I might do just to just to have a little bit of fun here, I'll show you. We've got this sort of in the works right now, like I mentioned before. And so you could do things like, what are the most popular accessories, for instance, right? This is, this gives you the ability to start to get the questions the consumer cares about, get that
Yeah.
information in front of them. And now more about that customer and what they're looking
Uh,
for, like LED lights,
yeah.
winches, all that kind of stuff. Oh, wow, great.
Audio. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
pretty right
so
on.
like to schedule an appointment. And this is where we integrate it together with, oh, okay, schedule an appointment. Well, that's one of the things that we allow you to do when you have a user interface. And now I can start to go through the process of schedule my appointment. And I may, so I've added value to the customer, and that I've, answered maybe some questions that they have, made it easy to schedule an appointment. Other things too, you could show people what special offers are available and all that, and just connect the experience together that much better through a chat interface.
Yeah. Well, and I could see specifically you're on that site, you're looking at it, you've got this question, you're just like, well, here's the chat, let me just type that. And I think people are getting more comfortable with this type of interface, like
Well,
at
Brandon,
first I think it was a little intimidating, but
what's happening is when the dealership closes, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, people are on your website, they're shopping, right? And they want to know the
yeah,
towing capacity. They want to know how much carrying capacity I have. They want to know these questions, and the dealership's not there. We're able to leverage your website for that, right? So, and then when they walk in the next morning, the salesperson's informed on what to reach out and follow up with, right?
yeah. Who did AI, who did Al talk to last night?
Correct. That's right.
Yeah. Now, does any of this go through to, like, say, the GM's, like, phone, like hey, you just got somebody who was pinging you on your chat bot or something? Do you do any of that yet, or?
Yeah, that's all, that's part of the, where it connects back to that dealer notification that we talked about before, where you can set up like what are the things what are the interactions that should trigger a notification back to the dealer.
Okay.
And then you could let them know what happened. Like, hey, this prospect's heating up again. And let me just give you a quick summary of what they were doing so that you're aware of it. Yeah.
Last night they reviewed this many pages. They have these questions. You walk in the morning, or you get notifications in the morning. You can see all the summary what that customer had, and be able to make that text or phone call.
I mean, I've had dealers tell me that chatbot has sold a lot for them because they can capture all this stuff, and depending on how engaged, or how maybe not engaged, but the level of notifications, I think there's probably a certain amount. It's like having your Ring camera. How much do you want to have, like, false alarms going off on you, and versus like real things, so having that ability to adjust that level to where you're comfortable, I think, is important.
Yeah, some dealers love to know right away all night, and a lot of dealers say we hold it for them until the next morning. So 8 o'clock in the morning, they flip on Rollick, and then that comes on, they get the notifications.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
We can do both ways, 7/24 or normal business hours. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I think anymore, there's got to be a balance,
That's
but
right.
some people, they want that, like middle of the night kind of, oh, what? I gotta, let me go answer this guy.
I've had really good sales professionals
to each their own.
Reply to customers 1, 2, midnight after their phone's next to their bed, and they click and reply to customers on units. So, I mean, some like it. They like it. We'll accommodate that. No problem.
Right. Yeah. Well, good for them. Yeah. So, okay.
And and then just to switch gears a little bit more to like the nurture. So this is, what we talked about there was when you have the online engagement from the customer, they're on your site, they're maybe chatting and then getting notified as a dealer. But, for so many shoppers, like we were talking about at the very beginning of the conversation, I'm a month out, I'm 3 months out, I'm 6 months out. And so sales reps like aren't going to keep hounding that person, right? I mean, they're going to fall off of a sales rep's radar. But you don't want to disengage with the customer. You want to be able to have a way to stay engaged with the customer through the lifespan of their, and through that buying cycle. And so that's where nurture comes in from us. For the focus here is, how do I then start to engage, or keep engaged with that person when they're not on my site? Try to drive them back, try to drive them maybe further down the sales funnel by doing a lot of the same things that we were already talking about. It's like, okay, well, great. You were looking at this unit. You ready to schedule an appointment? Or, hey, that unit just sold. Can I show you some maybe similar units that I have here that you might be interested in? And all the other things that we talked about too. Hey, a promo just popped up for something that you were looking at. Do you want to find out more about it? Those are the kinds of things that you can do in nurture to be able to just keep the engagement level up, even if your sales guys are talking to the hotter prospects, the people that are maybe a little bit closer to purchase.
Yeah. But I mean, and that's a great thing. I'm sure that helps, convert, and you're not letting go of those, because who's going to have, you could write it on your calendar or whatever, but you're not going back. It's you need to have some kind of way to keep those guys in that funnel, in that buying funnel.
Yeah, we've
But
seen, Brendan, on that future buying study again, consumers are opening emails. We see this all the time on the Rollick Nurture piece. They're opening emails a year later. These Nurture
Yeah,
emails are getting opened that far out. They're still re-engaging with the dealership. And we're doing this for over 1,000 BRP dealers now with all their email nurture when they come to the dealer website. So it's like a set and forget it strategy, and leverage the dealers. They're calling and texting all day long, but if they fall off the radar, the nurture is like a backup, assistant for them.
right. No, that's
yeah,
great.
and I'll point out this stat too at the bottom. I mean, the results that we see are really impressive, like 50% higher close rate than non-nurtured prospects.
Mhm.
So it works. And that's really where like we're focused, is like just continuing to optimize these strategies, make them smarter with AI, because AI is going to help you figure out, when should I send something? What should I be talking about? Because I've got all this information about what the customer's done already. If they've already done a trade and if they've already pre-qualified, I don't want to send them information to go do that again. It's not relevant. They've already done it.
Right.
I want to send them the next thing, right? So that's where AI can evaluate, what have you done? What's the best thing? What's the most likely thing you're going to engage with if I were to send it to you?
And that's one of the more annoying things, I think, if you fall off that, nurture, you kind of fall out of that run, you got to start all over again, and you don't want to have to do that, because you've already you're still engaged with that dealer. So to be able to pick it up from 3 months ago, basically, or whatever it was, to move forward, I think is a great tool to have. And it's gonna, again, it's just the customer is going to be more likely to move forward than, because you get to that screen, oh, I got to enter all this again. I don't know if I'm, then you're like, I don't know if I'm want it that
Or
bad, but
that's right.
you don't want to
That's
give them an excuse to back out.
That's exactly what it comes down to, right? Make it, like you were saying before, use AI and everything else that we have at our disposal, and make it as easy as possible for them. So, yeah, the places where AI makes its way into the nurture are things like, just writing better content. A lot of times people, we see people doing this, like if I'm going to write nurture emails, maybe I'll double check with AI to just write it better. Also too, just even for maybe the bolder dealers out there, letting AI write content sections for you. So basically just be like, hey, look, I'm going to let AI write the first paragraph of this nurture email for me based on everything the customer's done. Just, create a personalized thing. Those are also things that, kind of we're supporting with the nurture side, as we talked about before. Similar products, people love in these nurture emails, they love to see units, they love to see inventory. And so if you can get something relevant in front of them, boy, the click rates that we've seen are
Yeah,
incredible on this. It's a wonderful way to engage.
that little recommended thing, at the bottom, I think is very enticing. It's like, oh, I was looking at one, just about that size or that range, let me click on that. So yeah, I think that's what it's like, the candy that keeps people, okay, I want to schedule an appointment, not just the message with nothing there.
100%. And then,
So
you
yeah,
mentioned before the idea of quick response too. This is something that we're talking with people about as well. Is just, when people respond, sometimes, like a lot of times they'll take a nurture email and they'll just respond to it like it came from a person, and I've got a question for you, right? That's another area where AI it's almost like the chat, but through email instead of the interactive chat where we can just answer the questions for you.
yeah.
So
No, this is
a lot of good stuff there. And I think, when it comes down to what you can do and what we're supporting, it's things like the imagery, right? Just help people sort of like see the unit they're looking for, maybe the part of the country that they're in. So it just
yeah.
sort of looks and feels more personalized to them.
Got the little
Pick
map there to show where it's located, and yeah,
100%. And doing things like, if we understand the customer based on their chat experience, we know that they're interested in something for their family based on interactions that we have. So we can now bring all this stuff into these emails. And instead of these sort of like form letter nurture emails that are just one size fits all, comes much more personalized, and why is that important? It's, we definitely see an uptake in the clicks. Like when the person feels like you're talking to them, you understand what they're looking for, and you're bringing relevant content to them, the engagement rate and the click-through rate's a lot higher. And then, like we talked about before, that turns into sales on the back end, which is ultimately what we're all shooting for.
Right. So really and then at the end goal, you've kind of nurtured them, you've kind of pushed them through this, and then it's get them into the dealer, schedule that appointment, and finish out the process.
Exactly.
All the nurture emails are designed to bring it back to dealership, right? Search more inventory, schedule appointment, pre-qual for financing. It's all transactional emails. Click the link in the map, navigate right to the dealership, right? Things like that, Brandon, is just what dealerships need, and make it personalized. I love when I get an email that they know me, right? I know that I ride side by sides in Central Florida. Look at the back. You see the oak trees. You see the sugar sand.
Yeah.
If you get something, if I'm in the mountains in California, they don't know me. People want you to know them.
You're in the Midwest and you get a picture of somebody riding the dunes. You're like, what?
Who's this for? Right.
I mean, maybe, I guess in the UP, there's
there you go.
But yeah. Well, hey guys, this has really been great stuff. Are there any other slides you want to show real quick? We're about to wrap up here. So
I think that gives the gist of it. I mean, you nailed it, right? It's just that whole experience. Like we said, we're trying to get from interaction one up until they're ready to walk in that dealership and take delivery of the unit. We want to be able to get them up through that process and wire it to your dealership.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think what's so great about AI is it's like your super salesman, it's there it knows when to engage, when, what questions to answer and all that. And then when to hand it off. It's not going to be, greedy about it. It's going to want to hand it off as soon as it can to, get them in the dealership and to finish out and pick up the new units. So
yeah, we view it as a personal assistant, right? For the dealership, right? Just a nice personal assistant to tee up the customer, know where they are, and then be able to facilitate that sale a lot quicker and a lot easier. So we like just a big assistant.
So you can also use the Rollick AI to help write some of these emails and even content on your website then, is that correct?
For sure, yeah. Like we typically do it in the context of the email, but if you just wanted to, if you wanted to engage with it for, writing anything, it's possible.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's awesome. Yeah, this has really been enlightening. And like I say, I know AI is going to be like an overused word. It'll be like turbo, right? Everyone, turbo, it's like, okay, they got to put turbo on you're going to have AI, or like organic is on everything, and it's really trying to get behind, lift up the hood and see what it really does. That I think this kind of showcases a little bit what a dealer can get from AI, because we've been hearing this like, oh, dealers are going to use AI, but how is it really going to work? So this is great stuff. Really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing this with us. Looking forward to seeing how it, what the next evolution is, and, get your extra, geek glasses on and bring it to a new level, So, yeah.
We appreciate that.
Thanks, Brandon, very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
If you like this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. We also invite you to connect with us on powersportsbusiness.com.